Welcome to 1111, which is a segment from my podcast where I talk about a topic for 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Today's topic is fixing the relationship with our parents, or also, the relationship with our parents. I feel like since I was 15, I've always wanted to move out. Like my goal and something I've always talked about was moving out. I want to move out. I want to leave because I thought that was the only option that I was able to have a healthy relationship with my parents and a way that I was able to I was going to escape, all of the trauma or the unresolved issues that I had with my parents. And until, I had therapy and I talked about this with my therapist, and I realized that there are a lot of more options to fix your issues. And most of it is literally with having a conversation and with realizing that parents have their own trauma, their own unresolved trauma at that, and they have their own issues going on. For example, yesterday I talked to my mom. Had a very long conversation with my mom about just how we've really improved a lot. How we're in a really good healthy state right now, and she talked to me about for the first time. She talked to me about how she was parented by her parents, by her mom, and it kind of did remind me of the way she kind of started off with me. She Her mom never told her I love you. Her mom never showed her any affection. My mom is the oldest, so she had to, take care of the other kids. Because usually parents, depend on their oldest. And my mom would be the one responsible for the oldest kids, so she never got a childhood. She never got to experience love from a parent, so she never learned what that was. And I feel like once you're a parent, you either have two options. It's like you either parent how you were parented, or you parent the opposite because you realize that there was, a bad thing going on. Um, and I also, me being a first generation and coming from immigrant parents, I cut them a lot of slack. I know I shouldn't, and I know I shouldn't applaud a fish for swimming, but I do, I've been working on reminding myself that my parents are humans, and being immigrants, being here for just 20 years, 20 something years, like it's something so completely different, and it's something that most of my friends really don't understand, just because their parents are not immigrants. they're they're usually, whiteys, and they're, like, the biggest issue they have with their parents is that they bought them the wrong car that they wanted or something. It's like my parents were struggling to survive when they came here with nothing. So I do feel like there is a sense of, I sometimes can't relate to my friends and sometimes my friends can't relate to me with my viewpoints on my parents. Because I do, I value family a lot. Like, family is extremely important to me, and I think it is, I'm gonna probably sound annoying, but hey, this is my life and my struggle. Not struggle, but this is what, I'm made of, is immigrant parents and being first generation. So yes, my growth and how I think is way different than, a normal, quote unquote normal, American, person. So I do get that people sometimes don't understand me, and I do get that sometimes I do, allow stuff to pass through just because. All I don't think it's an excuse for your parents to be homophobic or transphobic, or for your parents to not understand common human rights. But I do understand that they did grow up in a different, environment, in a very religious environment, and in a very, religion brings a safe space to people. Religion gives people a safe haven, a safe place to rely on, and to really just hold on to that piece of hope. I feel like immigrants are, we're very desperate, and desperate people will find religion, desperate people will find faith and something to, like, believe in. And and I think my parents just sometimes they don't know the best. They don't know what's out there. They really having to survive does cut you back on exploring, and having to survive does cut you back on traveling and on educating yourself, because you're trying to, get your kids to survive, and you're trying to survive on your own as well, and no one's here to help you. So you don't educate yourself, you don't go out to museums, you don't read books, you do what's like most important. And right now what's most important for them at the time was to make money and to work and to hustle, and that's what they did, and they did it successfully. And now that they're older, I'm the youngest. I'm 19. I'm able to work with them, and I'm able to educate them, and I'm able to, give them the opportunity to love me. And I've realized that it's really helped. I'm extremely grateful with myself that I didn't leave and I didn't move out, because I would be just I would I don't know. I always like to experience different, scenarios or different things at least once. And I think it would have eaten me up alive if I would have moved out at like 18 and not even had tried to fix the relationship with my parents, because then this would have been a whole totally different conversation. I I would probably not even talk to my parents, because I know that once you move out, it's never the same with them, and it's never going to, you're never going to be at home like this with your parents once you move out. And I needed that. I think for my healing as well, I needed to, try to fix a relationship with my parents. And it has worked for me. And it has, made me a much better human being. And it's made my parents a much better human beings. And I'm really proud of myself for that, because I allowed myself to do the inner work and I'm still fixing it, of course. I feel like it's a constant, uh, a constant flow of fixing this. But for example, like my mom was never told I love you by her parents. They were never telling her I love you. And I think that's very sad. I think that's so, so sad. Like, imagine growing up and never hearing your parents telling you I love you. And I had this conversation with her yesterday. I was like, I get, like, sometimes your love language is showing action, and I feel like you guys have showed the most action ever by, bringing your kids to America, which is quote unquote the better life. And that's one of the biggest action of loves you could ever do. But it is nice to hear it. And it is nice to know that, hey, my parents loved me and they told me. So I started saying it. I text my mom, I love you. I, hug my mom. I tell her all these things, because I want to show her that I do love her. And now she does it to me as well. And it's like, this constant, like, just, it's this beautiful growth that I've seen with me and my parents, that I feel like it would have made 15-year-old Manny extremely happy if he would have received this love at 15. And I feel like it all started with setting boundaries and having conversations. I remember this one conversation I had earlier this year. It was like midsummer. I had this very, very long, deep conversation with my mother about religion and sexuality, and just how I was at that time in my mindset. And she respected me and she validated me. And I've always been told stories that parents will kick you out if you don't agree with what they're saying, and if you disobey them, and if you don't agree with what the Bible is saying and stuff like that. And although I do say I don't applaud a fish for swimming, I think I do, I'm very proud of my parents for not kicking me out, because that was a clear option that I was told before. And I think it's like, you are supposed to be loved. You do deserve love from your parents. And sometimes you can't stay because it gets too toxic. And, thankfully, I was never, physically hit at all. So that wasn't like I feel like that would have destroyed me. But I do understand that sometimes households can get so toxic that there are physical, abuse. And I think that's to the point where you need to leave. You're not safe. Even if it's mentally, you're not safe. But we never really got to that point exactly. So I was able to push through and go to therapy and learn that my parents had unresolved trauma, learn that my parents, religion is a safe haven for them, that's all they know, that's all they've ever been taught from since they were babies. So that's deep in their brains. And I've learned how to have set conversations and set boundaries. I feel like boundaries is a way to say I love you. It's like, I want you in my life, but these are the conditions. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it's okay to set boundaries with your parents, because at the end of the day, we're all just human beings and we're all just trying to love each other and be happy together. So recently, I started questioning. I started being like, what if I did leave? What if like I didn't have this relationship with my parents? And I feel like it has brought me a lot of like sadness, thinking that it wasn't possible for me to fix my relationship with my parents. And then it brings me a lot of pride to like to know that, hey, you did this, like you really did fix this relationship with your parents, and like you're constantly obviously fixing it. But I think that's beautiful. And I'm just trying to tell you that, hey, sometimes you do need the space, though. Sometimes you do need to leave, and you do need that space to heal and get your thoughts together, and learn how both parties were either wrong, or how your parents were wrong, and you deserve love and respect, and being like, hey, if you don't show me love and respect, I'm not coming back. And that's valid. But I love you so much. Please be safe.